Hey everybody, it is time once again for Rahdo to recap the week, and I've got some bad news, folks. This is episode 40 of the recap, and this is where all good things must come to an end. It's the final one. What's going on? Well, I recently did a vote with the Patreon backers of the show. You know, the folks who help keep Rahdo running that I keep talking about every week. And they said, well, the voting's not done yet, but the writing is on the wall. It's pretty clear they would rather me do another run through every month than come back here every Sunday and tell you about all the videos that went up on the channel over the preceding week, tell you about really cool videos that went up on other people's channels that I think are worth your time, and then finally tell you about cool new board games that just appeared on the Board Game Geek database that you could add to your wish list like I've done. So this is the end. My only friend, the end. I'm not going to break out into song here. I'm just going to do what I came to do one final time. Unless I can get a steady sponsorship for the show. If you are a board game publisher or you know any board game publishers or board game adjacent folks out there, let them know I'm looking for sponsorship. Maybe we can make a triumphant return, but it just so happens I'm terrible at seeking out sponsors. I'm really bad at self-promotion, as it turns out. But anyway, folks, enough preamble. Let's do one more time what we came here to do. And as always, I am going to start out by talking about what you get if you are a backer of the show and help keep Rahdo running, either at patreon.com or here on YouTube as a member. And since this is the last time, I figured I should just probably remind everybody one more time, as I do my best to self-promote, even though, again, I am not a natural at it. Did you know, folks, if you are a supporter of the show, you get to see videos early, like Harmonies, which you could be watching right now, or El Grande, which is going to be going up today, or Pengy Pals, which has been available for, even though it hasn't launched yet. Or, not for nothing, this. I'm going to be filming this later today, and then folks will get early ad-free viewing of all the run-throughs. Sometimes days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months early, without ads. You can watch all the normal content on the channel if you are a supporter. But that's not all. This week, for the backers, I put up the latest full podcast of the episode. 4 hours of questions that I answered. And one of them was actually going a little bit more into the behind the scenes about this decision and the poll that has led to this being the final episode of the Rahdo Recap. So, of course, anybody can listen to the podcast right now, but if you want to watch it and see Jen show up as well, that is available for backers of the show. And then what else? Oh, this is a funny story, folks. Sixth Realm is a game that is coming to crowdfunding, and when I sat down to film it after Alex taught it to me, I did a solo run through because I really like the solo system with the cardboard opponent that you have, and I thought it'd be really cool to show it off. And then I, finished it, showed it to the publisher, and they said, "Oh, don't know how to tell you this, but we want you to do a 2-player run through." And so that's cool. I really enjoyed it. I didn't mind filming a second time doing a 2-player run through, which meant there was a bonus for backers of the show, a solo run through of the Sixth Realm, which is going to be coming to crowdfunding very soon. You can see the cardboard over there on the side as it taunts me and creates quite a few challenges for me along the way. So that is a bonus Recluse video. Normally, backers only get 1 Recluse video a month. This time they got 2, thanks to my incompetence and miscommunication. Anyway, so that's it, and for the last time on the recap, I want to say thank you to everybody who helps keep Rahdo running. Everything I do, honestly, I do for you because you give me and Jen and Ruel and Shay and Maggie and Amy and Paulo and Kimberly and Chris and Ray and everybody. Oh, I feel bad. I'm going to forget somebody. You keep us all running, so thank you very much. And now, let's talk about what everybody gets to see on the channel. Well, hey, I just talked about it. My 2-player run-through of the Sixth Realm, which is such a huge game. It's going to be crowdfunding pretty soon, and if you would like to know what this adds, how this game really does a bunch of stuff I have not seen in any other Euro, is as big in terms of its table real estate. You can see how huge the board is. It's also an incredibly big and epic Euro experience as well, and I had a lot of fun playing it and filming it with Alex, who did a really great how to play as well. So all the Sixth Realm stuff is available, except for that solo bonus. What else? Oh, I put up my video yesterday for Earth Abundance. And oh my gosh, this has pushed Earth into my top 20 games of all time. It was already in my top 50, but this new Abundance expansion adds so much amazingness that I absolutely love it to pieces, and I put my video up yesterday. And then, of course, this is just a regular run-through, and again, if you are a backer of the show, you can watch me finish the entire run-through because that was the Rec List, which I talked about last week. Anyway, Earth Abundance, it's a bit silly for me to say this, but I think a lot of people are going to say, oh my gosh, this fixes all my problems I had with Earth, because it adds such really cool new stuff, and you can see it in action right now. Oh, and then I also did a preview for Apristocracy. And if you've already watched this and you watched my final thoughts and you heard me talking about, boy, if there's just one thing I want, it's like, alternate sponsorship setup rules and whatnot. Well, folks, here's a little update for the final thoughts on Apristocracy. I've talked with Heather, the self-publisher, designer, artist on this game, and she has heard it loud and clear. And when this game launches in a little bit, there's going to be some very cool surprises. I've only just scratched the surface of what is available in Apristocracy, and watch for it soon, and watch this really cool melding of worker placement and trick taking. Okay, what else? Oh yeah, and then we had a preview of Core of Discovery, which reminds me, I guess we do like deduction games after all. At least if it's deduction that's crossed with survival horror, of all things. It's a great combo. Jen and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed playing it with Alex. Once again, Alex showed up at my house to teach me how to play, and oh my gosh, this is so much fun. An absolutely phenomenal game, and I'm glad to see it's going to be, I think, a big hit on crowdfunding, a Core of Discovery. Okay, and, one more. Fortune and Glory, the cliffhanger game. This game has been around forever, and somehow I never actually got around to playing it back when I first got into board games. I always thought it had a little bit too much dice rolling. Although I had no idea there was an alternate mode of play all these years that removes the roll and move and turns it into a more predictable game. And Kimberly talks about that as she does her run through, and a bunch of other stuff too. And I can't deny, at the end of the day, this run-through was so fun and so charming that she has almost convinced me that this is a game I want to try, even though I never thought I would. So, check out Fortune and Glory, kid, the cliffhanger game, and Kimberly did a great job showing off what makes it so much fun. And then, okay, last but not least, it's another Q&A episode 31, where I hit three big topics. How can I improve my videos? There were some very good suggestions from the questioner. Once again, digging into why is funding dropping, and I actually go into a lot more detail. I actually open up behind the scenes and show exit surveys and whatnot, and then also, where's my Feld coverage been? If somebody was wondering, wow, there's some Feld games that you've been ignoring. Are you done with Feld? Well, I'll talk about what's going on there too in the latest Q&A. And that is it, folks. That's what went up on the channel. And some really cool stuff. And but that's it for the final time. Now, what about other people's channels? Because board game media is bigger than ever. There's always fun new stuff. So let's tell you about some things you might have missed. Starting with my best buddy in board gaming, Ruel. He, like everybody, ever since I started doing it 6 years ago, does a monthly end of month. Hey, here's everything I played. But he does a cool bit of extra stuff with his as well. He live streams it, which is very brave of him, let me say. I used to do that for a while until I realized, oh my gosh, that's way too stressful. But he was just born to live stream. But during his live stream where he talks about all the games he played, he also talks with the audience about what did they play. And it's always fascinating to watch that they put him on the spot, and he ends up talking about games that other people bring up and their strengths and weaknesses. So it's a really great, end of the month summary of what his audience is up to, and you'll hear about a lot of really good games. And it's a quickie. It's just like 13 minutes. Well worth your time, I think, because Ruel is just so gosh darn charming and fun and affable, and yeah, just great stuff. What else have we got though? Oh, this is exciting. I don't really know the channel Allies or Enemies very well, But I stumbled across the fact that they are going to be publishing their own designed game, the game that they have designed and developed themselves. And so this last week of summer is the name of the game, and this video was their announcement. He talks a bit about the design of the game, and honestly, it sounds very, very cool. Set in the heyday of the '80s, kids hanging out in a mall, trying for their last week of summer to have the best week possible. I gotta admit, as a child of the 70s, this is definitely an interesting bit of subject matter. But what's more interesting is this is the rollout. Apparently, on their channel, Allies Enemies, over the coming weeks and months, they're going to be going behind the scenes and take us on a journey as they try to crowdfund their game. So this is where you can get on board, and it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. So that is very, very neat. I am excited and definitely subscribed myself. Okay, what else have we got? Oh, man. 3-minute board games. I think this is maybe the definitive video for why do people solo board games. Hardly a week goes by that I don't see some snarky comment on some video on my channel saying, what's the point of playing solo games? You might as well play a board game. Solo board games are an oxymoron, blah, 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 blah. Heard it so many times. And they do such an amazing job breaking down why solo gaming is so fantastic. I'm just going to keep this URL at the ready so I can just use it whenever the topic comes up. And I think it's absolutely phenomenal. Now, it's a bit more than 3 minutes. It's 25 minutes. But if you yourself have ever found yourself saying, solo board gaming, that's just dumb. I'd like to enter into evidence exhibit A, 10 reasons to play board games solo, and you might just become a convert yourself. Okay, then what have we got? Oh, man. Above Board TV did this very, very cool travelogue, Dan versus the Wild, inspired by the board game Trekking. Which is all about, going from national park to national park. Dan used it literally, as you can see there, as a map, although not really, but went on a multi-day epic journey through the North American parks, has footage from a lot of them that is just stunningly gorgeous. And it's full of fun little factoids that keep popping up throughout. And things go off the rails, let's just say. He's got trekking with him wherever he goes on his backpack there, and let's just say it becomes a survival tool in the biggest way, and it is adorable. I just thought this was probably the best thing Above Board TV has done so far. Absolutely fantastic. Watch for the board games, the bears, and the mischief, Dan versus Wild. It's great. You will not regret it, folks. Link for it and everything I'm talking about today, as always, is down in the show notes, or there'll be a playlist at the end. Oh my God, look at that. Anyway, speaking of nature, let's talk about a couple of channels I haven't talked about before. Botany and Board is a channel where Bailey here focuses primarily on nature-themed board games, because we've got so many of them these days that she can make an entire channel focused on that. And here she is, solo playing Trailblazers. So hey, I'm comboing nature and solo gaming, 2 previous topics on this very episode. It's like there's a theme. It's like I'm just finally getting good at this. I can pull stuff together and tell. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. This is the end. But anyway, Bailey has a very fun to watch, very challenging solo play of Trailblazers. Does she win? Does she lose? She was playing a tough chapter, and I'll just say it was a lot of fun to watch, and Bailey's channel is really great too. And it's not just nature games. It's kind of her thing, but she does all kinds of stuff, folks. And you might want to check out Botany and Board. And that's not all, because you really should check out Bits and Biology. Another great board game channel that you may not have heard of. I only recently discovered it myself. Big shout out to the watcher of the recap show who pointed it out to me, and I have subscribed, and I'm really into this channel because it takes board games and looks at them from looks at the science of them, because we've got a biology professor who is running the channel. And while her videos are great and she's fun, and she does top 10s and here's what I played over the month. And here she is doing a solo run through of Parks. I didn't know Parks had a solo mode, but I gotta say, I think Parks looks like a better solo game than a 2-player game, quite frankly, based on her run through here. But actually, what's even better than the run through? Can I actually show you this? If you scroll down and look at her notes, there is a link. There it is, the Bits and Biology blog on Board Game Geek. This is fantastic. This is where she dives deep into the science that is represented represented in the games she plays as an academic, and it's fantastic. Highly recommended. Bits in Biology, and hey, why don't you start out with her Parks solo playthrough? Okay, folks, so that's it. My final listings of new stuff that have appeared on other channels that I think are worth your time. And we're going to end it with 4 games I have found that were recently added to the Board Game Geek database that I think are definitely worth your time. What are they, you ask? Well, that's the wrong button. That's the right button, but the wrong screen. There we go. Oh, I'm falling apart here at the end. We've got Tramways Engineer Workbook Volume 2. That's a mouthful. Here's the deal, folks. If you want to know about this, the best thing I would suggest you do is check out the run-through I did like 6 years ago. Over half a decade ago, I did a quick run-through of Workbook Volume 1. And I gotta say, I am very excited. It's been a long time coming. But this is such a fantastic game system. It is basically a big book that comes with, I think this one is going to come, I think it said, with 24 different puzzles. And they are puzzles based on the gameplay of the excellent and sadly overlooked hidden gem deck builder Tramways, which I've also covered on the channel. It's a great deck building game, and Albin Viard has taken the deck building gameplay of that and turned it into a series of puzzles that you can play in this book. It's all erasable pages where you can try to puzzle out how to solve each of these different cities using the gameplay mechanisms of Tramways. And it doesn't look like there's many pictures yet here. But again, go check out my run through of the original. It's fantastic, especially because it's a great solo experience, but you can also play a lot of them 2-player, and they are replayable, and it's just brilliant. And what's interesting about Volume 2 is the original one was just like generic towns or generic cities you were building up lines in. Now you're building them in cities around the world, and each different city, all 24 of them, have unique local elements of the city that introduce new mechanisms. So I am very excited. And if you want to know why, go check out my 6-year, I will put a link for it down in the show notes, my run through of the original Tramways Engineer Workbook Volume 1. And if you watch that, you'll understand why I'm excited for Volume 2. Then we've got Keyframes. Oh boy. This one looks very, very good. It's from the designers of the White Castle and the Red Cathedral. Isra C. and Ashai S. This couple of gamers, designers. I think everybody has been very, very impressed by their output. And this looks like a smaller, quick-playing card game where everybody, every round has, and there's not really much pictures, but you can kind of see the card art here on the box art. Let me go ahead and zoom in. Has a handful of cards that represent frames of animation. We are all animators trying to make an animated sequence. And on each cards, there's a number that represents our initiative. And everybody's going to pick from their hand a card simultaneously and play it. And whoever has the best initiative gets to go first and add their card or one of the other cards that are on the table, including cards that their opponents played for initiative, to try to make finalized little animated sequences. And you can see the animated sequences are adorable. And I mean, that sounds like a very, very cool twist where, okay, this is going to be the card I need to play because I need to go first. But it's a card I can see you need because you're literally working on this animated sequence. That sounds like a lot of fun to me. And again, based on the pedigree of these designers, and it's not just Red Cathedral and White Castle. Shinkansen 0K was fantastic. I still desperately want to play 1987 Channel Tunnel. I've heard nothing but good things. Anyway, though, this is an amazing design duo. And so whatever they've got, I'm interested in, especially when it's got subject matter that's so near and dear to my heart, and it sounds like very, very clever gameplay. It's called Keyframes. Then we've got Australis. And, from Leo Colavini, who ever since Leo put out, another hidden gem flying under the radar, absolutely brilliant design recently, London Bridge. London Bridge was so amazing. It was such an amazing return to form from this OG designer that I've been very excited. I am definitely on the Leo Colavini hype train, especially when he's working with Cosmos to make a game where we literally play as sea turtles trying to survive, in biodiverse ecosystems under the sea. There's very little information here. Oh, you have a wide range of strategies. Great. Choose the right dice cleverly. Oh, so it's dice drafting. Yes, please. But more importantly, hey, yeah, do I get to be a sea turtle? The nature theme is strong with this final recap, and I mean, just look at that cover. Do you not want to play that game? Right. I'm very excited for Australis. And one more. Oh, man. I had no idea this was coming. Good Dog, Bad Zombie, 2nd edition. Now, I did a quick rapid review for the 1st edition of Good Dog, Bad Zombie. And even though it had, let's say some very bargain basement it had charm for days because, hey, I just talked about playing as a sea turtle. How about we play as actual dogs in the zombie apocalypse trying to get rid of the zombies to save the humans? It's a great theme. Absolutely love it. And, all the quirks and tricks of being a dog are so wonderfully thematically represented in this game. Their sense of smell, their tendency towards herding. Hey, you haven't lived until you've herded a bunch of zombies off a cliff to save your favorite human. It's got a great sense of humor. It's got great charm. And while the 1st edition was, okay, quality-wise in terms of its components, this 2nd edition promises new art, upgraded components, yes please, and new playable dog breeds. Oh, I'm excited, folks. And if there's a final thing I'm ever going to talk about in the recap, I am very happy that it is Good Dog, Bad Zombie, 2nd edition. Sadly, no art or anything yet, but again, you can go look at my video or just look at other people's videos for the 1st edition and just imagine all that with upgraded components. I'm stoked. I'm excited. And I'm out of here, folks. That is the end. You know what to do now. There's the playlist with everything I just talked about. If you like more stuff, including some of this stuff might appear, on the Ramble going forward, which is another exclusive for Patreon backers. And anyway, but otherwise, folks, time to face the strange. Bye-bye. I meant turn. Turn and face the strange.